birthday.
Oh, well, we'll see.
Maybe his team will gift him a win.
Maybe. Or like yesterday, maybe Unicorns will gift him a win. Because that's what happened with Origin.
Somebody's going to have to give him a present, all right?
Well, there's going to be no delivery of that present because Corki is off the board. So Mail
no packages today.
Is on holiday. And here comes the focus onto the bottom lane. Kalista banned away from Steelback. That's been one of the picks he's been performing pretty well on. 3 games, 3 wins on Kalista. 22 kills, 1 death, and 11 assists. So that's not going to happen in this week's game.
No, Elements definitely did their homework against these Unicorns here. Everyone will count for those bottom table teams as well. We talked about playoff seeding, but how about relegation, promotion seeding? That's just as important for teams trying to stay alive. That's a Lucian ban.
That's 3 AD carry bans. Is this going to be like a first pick? I'm looking at options Sivir or Jhin or Ezreal. I've just kind of shotgun approached it, Pyra. I've given you 3 things. Maybe one of them gets picked up, and it's going to be neither of them by the looks of it.
I'm thinking, well, the Gragas makes a lot of sense because it's still that top-tier pick with the Nidalee banned away, and they're going to fight over everything else. But eventually we'll have to get down to those 80 carries. I expect Ezreal. Steelback might be the kind of player that goes for the Jhin, though.
Well, the Nidalee ban changed a lot here because Elements will obviously take the Gragas if that's available first, with the Nidalee not being up there. Now for the Unicorns, where do they go? Support. A couple of picks that have been banned away. The likes of the Alistar, the Braum are still available. One of them gets picked up here.
Yeah, of course, Unicorns do opt to lock in on top of the Alistar that Rammus. And that is the second time that Chachi has picked that one up. It has been increasing in popularity across all leagues, all regions, and we will see Elements actually hovering on that Karma, too.
Yeah, hovering on the Karma.
I've seen a few people like the AP mid Karma.
Well, you know, there was a couple of moments in the last week leading up to IEM where Eika was incessantly tweeting, somebody at IEM will show us Karma. Come on, show us the Karma mid, I want to see it. That was when Karma was not available on 6.3. I was like, Eika, you... Little unfortunate on that one. So maybe 6.4, he'll try and play it. We know he's no stranger to picking slightly different champions in the middle lane. He played the Morgana. We've seen a lot of, well, we saw a game from Lux with him, so maybe the option's there.
Yeah, well, Element's going to try to keep a few things in the dark here as they wait till the final seconds to
Oh, he's locked
the Karma.
He has.
The Trundle.
Karma and
likely
Trundle.
The Karma mid with the flex pick.
Likely, considering how much he was tweeting about it. So Karma mid has a surprising amount of damage off that Q. When you mantra it, it forms that slow pool. A lot of the times we'll also see the mantra used on the E, kind of like a Sivir ult, boost of speed. That allows you to
Sivir, by the way, that could double up.
Could get a lot of movement speed here from this comp, but Karma has a bunch of utility in her kit. It's not just all about damage when it comes to Karma, but she does have a lot of it.
Well, we will have to see. We've definitely got a lot of tools to make use of that mobility on that side of Elements. What is Origin, or what is, I keep saying Origin, Unicorn answer with? God, get my teams mixed up today.
Well,
Sin for Loulex would make a lot of sense. It was a comfortable pick for him, but the Sivir's being considered for Steelback, and that's locked.
Man, this is going to be a fast game when it comes to how fast champions are going to move. You got a Rammus, you got a Sivir, you got a Karma.
You got to go fast.
You got a lot of speed in this game. We're basically going to play NASCAR if this ends up in a lane swap. People are just going to go all the way around the oval and figure things out. Mid lane has been saved for the counter pick for the Unicorns. You can assume the Karma is going mid lane. There's the outside chance it could be support, but not expecting that in the slightest out of Elements here.
Elements toying with the idea of this Soraka as well. They still need to lock their AD carry. I think the Ezreal is the obvious choice here, but we have seen Misfortune make a few appearances as well. I'd be a little bit more surprised by the Ashe pick.
But now, what do we see coming out from Elements for their bottom lane? Do they opt for something like the Ezreal, which is later game scaling against a Sivir? No, they opt for earlier game and team fight setup here. Once again, Elements are going with a bit of a different pick.
Oh, yeah. Morgana and Misfortune. Now, this is still flexible, too, because you could, in theory, send the Morgana mid. Now, what circumstance would you want to do that over the Karma, though?
So if you only want to wave clear mid lane, and maybe look to pick people off. Karma has a little bit more pressure when it comes to actually damaging people in an offensive capability rather than accepting people coming towards you. Obviously, she will benefit from anybody coming into close range. Mantra that W, instantly get the health back, lock them in place, hit them with a Q. So much damage out of Karma. I love it.
Oh, well, you're going to get to see it this game, that's for sure. Unicorn's still thinking about their last choice, of course. It would be for Fox. Will he take the Gangplank? No, the switch over, and it's LeBlanc.
Again, it's all about getting in the face of elements, and that's one thing that maybe a Karma can't deal with so well, is she has a burst of movement speed, but if she's burst down first, then she is not going to be able to stick around for all that long. What that does tell us, however, is that Trundle is going up into the top lane against the Rammus, shred away a lot of that armor, shred away any of that ability to sit and, you know, soak up damage, and I don't mind that. We saw it at a lot of IEM.
Yeah, well, a lot of teams have been trying to find the answer to that Rammus here in Europe, and you know, this will be Element's take on it. Will Steve be able to bring the pain to Vizicsacsi, or will we not even see standard lanes? I mean, we could be in for a quick lane swap. Sivir pushes quite quick.
She does push pretty quick. MF's not too bad when you use that Make It Rain. You can get a lot of auto attacks, just changing autos on the wave. Allows you to push pretty quickly with that Love Tap passive. So, interested to see how that plays out.
There's the birthday boy and Sheepy exchanging friendly gesture as they walk off the stage. So this could be quite the solid game. I'm excited to see if Elements can pull out something that we haven't seen from them in several weeks now. If you guys think that that can happen as well, tweet at LOL eSports, hashtag ELWin. Or if you think the Pink Power Ponies are going to run away with this one, hashtag UOLWin. Will they be the ones to take down Elements yet again this time around? The last time they met, remember, it was a Unicorns win, but that was back in week number 3, a whole different jungler. Of course, we've been saying that quite a lot about the Unicorns.
Yeah, that's something you've been able to count on from the Unicorns. But, you know, for Nif's birthday, it is flowers on the rift as Eika is running Order of the Lotus Karma. So we're going to see if a bouquet can translate into a win here for Elements. They probably should have won yesterday, but Splice were able to take it to them late in the game. Likewise, Unicorns probably should have won yesterday. But gave the game away.
One of these teams will have to walk away with a win, so they will be happy here.
They can't both lose today's game, Pyro.
Well, you say that, but at least somebody will be moving up with one more in the win column. Elements on the board right now. Standard line of scrimmage between the two teams. It looks like we are in for standard lanes unless somebody makes a quick move elsewise. No need to really show off anything too early, but MrRallez does walk on the ward along with Sprattel as the one gets placed. Steelback and Hilly look to collapse, but they won't be able to do it just yet. Make It Rain, leveled first, goes for Steelback, and Hilly walks the long route, takes a few autos.
Both of these compositions, though, are fairly mid-game focused. We're not waiting for people to scale up all that heavily. You've got a LeBlanc, you've got a Sivir, you've got a Misfortune.
It's going to get bloody quick.
Oh, yes.
But if it does happen to go late, Chachi is going to have a ball, a power ball to be exact.
Damn it, Pyra.
I did it again. I know.
I was not prepared for this. I took a week off and forgot how this is going to be.
You forgot this one happens, right? I've been saving them up, too. I've been, like, slowly, that's a good one. I got to put that away. But this matchup up in the top lane, I mean, this is very good for Steve. Trundle, his original intent was always, hey, we're just going to be able to steal away. Well, who has the most armor pretty much in the game? Yeah, we'll
see if we can steal back some of that laning dominance that Chachi is going to have. A couple of Thunderlords in there, even one on MrRallez there. So that's obviously, you drop Make It Rain, get the hits from it, and get your auto attacks, or get that burst of damage for your autos to follow up. So nothing out of the ordinary on that one with everything else.
We do have the later swap, though. So Unicorn's definitely keen on taking that. Sprattel and MrRallez are down on the bottom side. We will most likely see the faster push, but not quite as fast as some teams, as it didn't seem like it was a primary plan to start things off. However, quick clears, courtesy of the Make It Rain. MrRallez and Sprattel trying to build that wave up to bounce there to get it in to that tower, and they're being joined by Steve as well. Loulex en route to the top side along with Chachi, so they're bringing 4 to the party.
UOL are a couple of seconds behind on the push here, but of course, keep in mind, Sivir, W Ricochet plus the Boomerang Blade is going to go very quickly through the minion wave when it actually gets there. So Unicorns should be able to make up that extra time. Gilius went and took his red and is now heading into the enemy jungle. So he's actually behind, but the rest of his team have been pushing pretty quickly, have to back away as the next wave approaches. And I think these two teams are pretty even. Slight lead for Elements here.
Oh, it'll be a good start for the Elements squad. See what they can get done. It looks like Sprattel actually took a couple of tower shots there as he's having to back away, or actually just training on the minions. tried to drag them back, and that takes a lot of damage early on, but that is eventually going to go down.
I was going to say, let's hope that the Unicorns aren't playing a playbook out of take a lot of tower shots and die. Hopefully Steelback didn't pick that up in NA, but so that was uncalled for. I'm sorry.
That was a cheap shot, Strat.
Yeah, I like that strat though. Get back to lane, get back to base fast, Eagle. Bye.
It works if you're Scion. Started on Wolves, all right. Okay, so everything in this game is pretty even right now with the 1-to-1 in towers, and a sense of normalcy has settled over with Steve in the bottom side, and of course dual lane in the top, but Eika takes a lot of damage from Fox, returns it in kind as the chains connect. Karma will pay you back sooner or later.
She will. She will. Expect to see a lot of chains in this mid lane. This is, I kind of...
How many chains?
Well, 3, so it doesn't really fit the meme, fit the joke. I was about to say, this is the kind of game
I'm going to count him now if you're wrong.
Well, Crepo would have loved this game because he could just drop gratuitous rap lyrics, and I'm just here like, that's not my forte. I'm waiting for somebody to play full metal Rammus. That's when I can start, you know, dropping lyrics, dropping a lot of references. But sadly, this is not the game for me.
Yeah, well, you're going to have to live with it.
Yeah.
Elements, they're pretty happy with their situation, you'd have to think, since they're keeping pace with the Unicorns. It is, as you said, a mid-game-centric team on both sides, really. And I'm curious to see, this 280 carries, we haven't really seen much of in a while. Sivir obviously rising back to prominence with their buffs recently, the Critichet. Yep. And for MF, you know, just being kind of the second tier, third tier pick, if you will, that a couple of our European AD carries have still prioritized in their back pocket.
Well, it's been quite a few weeks now since we've seen Misfortune. One of the last remaining bottom lanes that was playing this MF Morgana lane was Vitality.
Right.
They played it a whole bunch in the middle of the split. Ever since there were the tweaks on patches that reduced some of MF's damage and, you know, her ability. She's still very good. Mostly a team fight-focused AD carry, obviously with the bullet time. Will get somewhat negated by her own team if Gilius lands a rough ultimate and blasts 4 people out of the bullet time. You've always got to be careful of that. So I'm looking forward to seeing how Elements can actually fight their team fights as this game goes on.
You got to be worried about the anti-synergy. The crowd goes wild for Steve, taking down the turret in the top, and Rifttail goes over to Gilius. Elements have that buff to work with. Let's see what they can make of it.
That is not something I have missed. Ghost Bride Morgana.
Oh, it's terrifying.
I'd like to put out a formal request to players. Please don't use that skin. It petrifies me every time. She just wails as she recalls. Thanks,
really,
Skins Department, for that one.
You've never heard River Spirit Nami's recall, man. That thing is like...
Yeah, that's true. But that's like LCK's gimmick.
No. That's Super Galaxy Rumble. That's what tilts Monty.
Oh, okay. That's fair.
Which, by the way, I love that one, even though I've seen like one episode of Gurren Lagann.
I've seen none, so you got me beat there.
Yes.
I'm sorry, I'm going to get a
It's
whole
on Netflix. You have no excuse.
But
I've seen one.
But it's on German. Have you ever... man... Also, the Better Call Saul jokes, the German Netflix.
Well, we had to wait until Aurelion Sol's actually like enabled before we start going on.
That was pretty funny. You can check out the LollyU Twitter and see what we're talking about.
Yes, in case you have absolutely no idea. All right, so Steelback's getting the fast push on. Of course, you know, back last season when we saw a never-ending amount of Sivir. This was pretty much the popular strat. And now we'll be continuing to push away, but Sprattel's got his wave clear here. Trying to collapse on this one. Won't be able to make anything happen, though. Steve still pushing down the bottom side. Loulex looking to get away with the rest of his team. Dodge the Dark Bind, but you can't dodge the Belly Bob. There's a little bit of extra damage there. Nothing doing on top of it.
Yeah, just a short little trade there. You can see Eika was trying to come across from the mid lane, but Fox was there at roughly the same time. Eika's not having the best of starts on this Karma into LeBlanc matchup. The LeBlanc is pressuring her pretty heavily. He's down in CS, 17 CS difference right now. And Fox typically has been a player that has been good at going even and maybe getting slight leads. This is probably a little uncharacteristic for Fox when it comes to his ability to out-push and out-lane, but Eika hasn't been having the best of lanes himself. He's been having a good chance to farm on the likes of a Morgana, but when it's turned into actually lane matchups, it just hasn't really sat in his favor a lot of the time.
Yeah, Eika's definitely been a player who's had a lot of trouble with a region that's so stacked with European mid-talent. He's been having a hard time to try and answer back, but maybe he'll get the kill here. Fox forced to flash as Gilius shows himself. Walks right over pink ward. Yeah, Fox, for himself, has had quite a few good assassin performances, especially early on in the split. We saw some crazy Zed plays.
Yeah.
Well, this LeBlanc, if you can get a 100 to 0 onto Eika, Don't blink, you might miss it.
But the thing about Fox is you look at his champion pool, and especially his most played champion is Victor, 7 games played. Victor has started to fall off in the meta. We're seeing it very less frequently than we were seeing it in the early weeks. Then it's Zed, he's played 3 games of. Corki's being banned in every game, and everything from there he's played 1 game. 1 Lulu, 1 Ahri, 1 Ezreal, 1 Gangplank. He hasn't got a pick that he's really stamped his name on outside of that Victor yet, and that was all that Unicorns needed him to do, was wave clear for a super long time and then get damaged late game, and it was fine because Steelback was carrying. Now we have to see, is the LeBlanc the pick for him? He's 30 CS right now, up on Eika. Maybe that's just the matchup here.
Yeah.
But certainly Fox is looking comfortable in this opening of this game.
Well, and he has definitely looked a lot more comfortable on this Unicorn squad. We talked about how Fox has just been a middle-of-the-pack player. We'll talk about that in a minute. It's time for bullet time. Steelback takes a lot of damage off of that one as they start to push in on this inner turret. That is quite the discrepancy that MrRallez has managed to build up over Steelback. Actually, some serious farming for the MF.
Although saying that, it is still a big lead, but Steelback just stepped up to a big wave that was pushed in towards him, and I just saw his CS count jump by 10.
Yeah,
it's got ahead of himself a little bit. Boomerang blade and everything.
Oh, MrRallez was the target.
But it's offsetting the lead that Fox has on Eika when it comes to the actual gold at the top of the screen. That's why Elements are ever so slightly ahead, is because at least up until very recently, there was a big disparity between those 2 numbers. But it is still a fairly even game, only about 100 gold in it. And
someone's got to pull the trigger quick, though. You've seen a couple of attempts to start things off in jungles in the river, and now Unicorns are the ones that push back on the side.
I wonder who's on Observer 1 right now for this, because that would be Kevin Owl that we named on Challenger Series.
Yep,
in fact, the Challenger viewers named Kevin Owl. Full discrepancy and disclosure. The observers here, the EU LCS, went over to Katowice, so for those of you that are saying that, oh, you're stealing their shtick, no, same people, so they're like, they're bringing it here. Apparently it got named, the Twitter votes were counted.
I voted Trundle Owl, to be honest.
Yeah.
But Kevin Owl it is, and there you can see him still just kind of. He's watching the red Brumble back. Even though the blue Sentinel's on the other side, he's the Sentinel for the red back.
I'm not an avid bird watcher though, so I couldn't tell you what breed of owl it is. Oh, somebody should tweet that. Tell us what it is. Like,
that is a very good question.
To.
If you are a fan of birds or a fan of Steve, as the rest of this team is,
Steve.
You could tell us.
Is that like a crossover that fans
I'm
of Steve tend to be bird
I'm trying
watchers?
to yank this back and shift it over to
Steve. I'll let you have it.
He's trying to lane up against Chachi here, but I mean, the Rammus is hard to push against early on, and that is a fairly big CS discrepancy as well. So Vizicsacsi is giving Steve a really, really hard time up in this top side, but what are Elements going to do the rest of the way on the map? They've either got to give him help or they've got to try to pressure, elsewise they're not going to get anything for it.
Yeah, this has been a bit of a slower paced game than we were expecting when it came to the fights. We're only 11 minutes in. Certainly though, after our 20-minute game previously, it's going to be a very different affair.
Well, I don't think we were expecting that to be that quick.
No, I wasn't even expecting G2 Giants to be that quick. I'm certainly not expecting this game to be along the same lines, but Gilius is behind enemy lines right now. Doesn't get punished. No vision on him, really.
They do spot Hylissang, and now Chachi's looking to play on Eika. Speed up. He's not going to connect as the flash comes in. Teleport now is coming down, and Loulex gets barreled away, and Gilius can't land the binding because of it, but now Steve and Eika are chasing down Hilly, see if they can get the pick here. Takes a bite out of him. That's a chunk of raw beef if I ever saw one. Fox is going to be backing away, and there's the bullet time for a first blood over to MrRallez.
Bullet time, and time to grill some beef because Hylissang falls down in the middle lane. That might open this up for a push onto the turret. They have Fox here, but his wave clear relies on putting himself into danger here. He's going to go in. Ooh.
He tries. He does get the wave clear off, so they have to take tower shots, and now Gilius was in trouble. Fox went back in for round number 2, but they won't get the kill that they were looking for. Ignite also burned.
If the
Gold's still dead even, though.
If the chain had landed, that may have just been the tick-down kill onto Gilius, but only the one kill from a fairly extended fight, but Elements will be fairly happy with that. They know that against this Unicorns lineup, as long as they can survive through LeBlanc trying to put any damage down, they should be okay. They can teamfight fairly effectively with this Misfortune, and we just saw it in action.
Yeah, Chachi started this one off, but then Eika flashed away.
Yeah, this is kind of the bane of a Rammus' life. Somebody being able to flash under a second turret, tends to disrupt. Good pillar forces Hylissang to get locked down there. The follow-up chase, you saw the Karma slow field get pushed down. And Fox was trying his best to deal with Gilius, but from here, like, this is just MrRallez knowing exactly what he's got to do. He knows he's got a Morgana here. He knows that he has the security in that standing to flash forward and ult. Normally, you wouldn't want to see an AD carry, especially one with no gap close or disengage tool like MF flash forward. That time is one of the only times MrRallez will feel 100% comfortable to do that.
Yeah, and this is RallEz we're talking about. It's the guy who was pretty much known for being the safe rock that would never lose you the game. Conversely, he wasn't the guy that would ever win you the game either for a long, long time. But on Elements, he has found a decent place here. He's got the Essence Reaver completed. We'll see what he goes ahead and picks up next, but he's a bit ahead of Steelback as he has been this game. Steelback on that Sivir has not had the biggest impact, but he has been able to clear waves quite fast.
Yeah, he's been able to just move over, deny a push, and move back around. Keep in mind, the early weeks for Elements actually look very different to where they've ended up in the standings. So I think it was week 2. MrRallez was the MVP for the week, and Sprattel was on the OP5 list as well. Like,
they won 3 games in a row.
Exactly. They had a really good start to the split, and we weren't expecting that. Hindsight is, however, 2020. Some of the wins there, maybe not as clean as we first thought, and some of the competition they were playing certainly has settled themselves in a similar area right now. But nevertheless, the 3 wins early on in the split are going to help Elements stay in contention for any kind of playoff spot, especially the fact that they've been looking not too bad against the Unicorns here.
Yep. Chachi, well, Steve flashes on 4 on the power ball, though, too quick.
Oh,
man.
Steve.
You can't take a high-speed chase if you don't have a car.
Steve was just trying to flash on top of the model there for Chachi, interrupt the power ball, but he didn't quite get the distance that he needed, that the animation, that the models overlapped. So the hitboxes just didn't connect. Chachi rolls himself away.
Still, though, Steve was showing him that he can't just push up in this lane. The Trundle pick is coming in handy right about now. He's got himself the CS lead now. But going back to Elements, this is a team that, you know, we say the phrase everyone counts, right? It's always important to win the games. But for Elements, fighting now to get that safe spot, the spot where Elements has always occupied, actually, 7th place. If they can beat out Unicorns today, they get themselves in a better position as Loulex grabs the red buff away for himself.
The problem is, despite the kill that went to Elements, despite the presence they had in the mid lane, the gap has shifted again in favor of Fox in this middle lane. 160 CS to 120 makes up the goal difference between these two teams. So regardless of the kill, Unicorns still ahead, and that still is a minor lead for them. They'll be happy with it, considering they lost out, but have to see what the next play of the game is. Will Chachi... Oh, deja vu.
Oh, this time Eika gets the chain on, or the connection, and Chachi dodges the binding, so he's able to move away. Didn't get locked in place there, but that was a near miss.
Near miss, like bit like a yo-yo there. Attach the chain to Chachi and let him roll away. No Nasus, so we can't really walk the dog on this one, but we had that yesterday.
Don't think about it too long. We'll get a chance later, I'm sure.
We will. Well, we'll see.
Okay. Steve is beating down the Scuttle Crab, and Chachi doesn't want to try to contest him for this one. So they've got the vision here. No Rift Herald attempts. There was... I'm really thinking about it, but not like last game where we had him just pretty much grabbed every time off the bat by G2 eSports. These teams much more evenly matched, and Unicorns, despite being much farther ahead in the standings, they have been making mistakes maybe the Elements can exploit.
Well, the problem for this game right now, in the situation we're in, is that neither team feels strong enough in their side lanes to actually push. Steve is strong enough to deter a Chachi push, and the same happens for the bottom lanes. Like MrRallez and Steelback are like, well, I can clear this anytime it pushes anywhere past halfway, but I don't want to take a step into their half of the map. I don't want to go aggressive. And it's the same with the mid lane. Without Chachi getting a pick onto Eika, which for that to happen, Fox needs to blow Eika's flash before any kind of play attempt. It means we're in a situation where both teams are just not being aggressive. They're backing away as soon as they feel the pressure on, and it just slows down the game. So we're in a very, very patient setting here.
Of course, that means we have a lot more focus on those side objectives, like Rift Herald, like Dragon, which you just saw being taken there by Elements. Speaking of Rift Herald, there's only about 2 minutes or about a minute and a half left before it goes bye-bye. And we get to meet his big cousin, Baron Nashor. So neither team will attempt to go after that guy for a little while, but Eika, Loulex is going after him, who immediately burns his flash, so flash taken out now. It's going to be the chance if Fox wants to go deep, but he's already on the bottom side trying to push waves.
That's the flash we were talking about, and keep in mind there's a key moment coming up now. Change made a long time ago. Now you automatically get home guard at 20 minutes. So that flash is not going to be available as we crest the 20-minute mark. Chachi, if he recalls and they look on the 20-minute mark to bait Eika into a fight, you might not be expecting that Rammus home guard powerball. Eika, he has the cleanse to get rid of the taunt, but if there's follow-up crowd control, they should be able to break through. Hilly going very deep behind Eika. They don't need the powerball.
Oh, they knock him in and then get the taunt after he's already blown his cleanse. Fox gets the kill. They grab the tower, and Unicorn turn up the heat.
Very similar opening. A minute earlier, didn't need the Powerball because they have the Alistar. Hylissang is like, I can just go behind this tower. Don't even have to ult myself at that point. Flashes in, gets the kill. Good setup by the Unicorns. That's exactly what they needed to break this patient phase of play here.
Fox is still pushing freely on this bottom side, too. Element's not reacting nearly fast enough to do anything about this. Rift Herald in the final seconds looks like it's going to get taken down by Chachi and Hylissang if they've but got the damage to do it. Anytime now, gentlemen.
Gonna wait for that eye to open up and smack it. It's not the nicest thing, punching a thing in the eye. It's like...
Well, you know, I mean, he is kind of living in Baron's house. They're telling him to get out. Let's take a look at Eika, though, because he's not on here for long.
Yeah, he didn't stick around for long at all here. Fox came up and this goes all the way in, gets a kill, gets a tower. That's the Unicorns doing exactly what they needed to do. We talked about the play that they had to make. And right there, Elements were caught napping. Nobody was around to help Eika out. They knew his flash was burned, and Eika himself was like, okay, well, I kind of have to give this tower, guys. Wasn't expecting the Alistar.
That's one way to break the stalemate. Unicorns were able to accomplish it, get themselves a 3,000 gold lead off the back of that play. One tower ahead. MrRallez and Sprattel continue to push this bottom side back, but Fox is still there to continue pushing it himself. And Gilius roaming around with him. A lot of pings flying, looking for Hylissang, who's behind enemy lines, and he gets stunned up, caught by the belly bop of Gilius. Now Eika's around the side. Unbreakable Will's on teleports coming in. Will he stay alive for long enough? Are they going to back out? No, it's Sprattel that gets turned on. He has to burn his flash to get back in. The pillar comes up, the bullet time comes out, but it's Loulex and Chachi that's taking the damage, and MrRallez takes down Chachi, and Steelback pops on the hunt to escape.
Pops on the hunt to escape. Unicorns thought they wanted to fight that. Turns out might not have been the best option for them. They did manage to get a couple of summoners from the Elements. Took down Chachi, now they're going to take down a mid turret in response. So this is a bit of a back and forth game. Still the Unicorns have the lead off that.
Not as secure as they thought, though. So one pick turns into a tower, another pick turns into a tower.
And that's the thing about Elements comp, is if you fight in these enclosed areas where the bullet time can get a lot of damage onto multiple people, that's where Elements are going to try and force you to fight them. Unicorns want smaller number fights. You want the Hylissang LeBlanc kind of combination to go on one or two people. The same with the Sivir, the Alistar. You can get just these small fights and take out one or two people from Elements and never have to deal with the full 5-stack.
That'll be the key. Them to try to get those picks, secure them up. They've been able to get one off the board, but they've lost 2 members in return. Not all off at the same time, obviously, but now Fox and Loulex are looking to push down this tower. But MrRallez, he can clear quite quickly himself, and he gets a little bit of extra chip damage off. And the Fox, meanwhile, still pressure from Hylissang and Steelback, but Eika's able to repel it. Unicorns trying to make moves around this map, but Elements are holding.
For now, at least. They got to deal with the Sivir.
They have had a lot of problems with playing the games out longer than they go, and Steve continues to poke down Chachi. This is a lot of damage. Oh, flash forward! And he's grabbed himself an armadillo.
Well, that's why we see Trundle played into Rammus. I mean, just take away some of that tankiness, take away his ability to run away, flash on top of him, just auto him down, and it's an easy pickoff. So, you know, Defish will be happy seeing that one. Not a fan of the Rammus top, so
expect the
gets punished.
Though.
Flash used from Fox.
Fox deep where he did not belong. It's another minute till the next dragon is going to be available, but for the short time being, Elements have the power play on the map. Let's see what they can use it for. Let's talk a little bit about the vision game, though, because Unicorns, you can see the legacy of them moving all over the map. Deep vision in that top side. Some of it is mirrored by Elements, but the field of play has mostly been there. Now it is starting to shift. as Elements move forward into Unicorn's territory, try and grab some turrets of their own.
Try and grab some turrets. Right now we're at 3 apiece from both teams, but honestly, we're back in a position where Unicorns aren't wanting to push out too far because Elements have punished them a couple of times now. Elements kind of don't want to do the same thing. They're like, side lanes, we'll just shove them into you, you can collect them, you'll pass it back to us, we'll play tennis with our side lanes for a while.
I was going to say, you talked about a yo-yo earlier with the Rammus, but this whole game is pretty much a metaphor for that.
Yeah.
Let's see what they're able to get done. I mean, it's going to be key on Unicorns, like you said, getting catches, getting hits, and then moving forward, even though the Sivir comp is all about those fights, Chachi is caught as tanky as he is. He's got absolutely no backup. Stop, in the name of the law, says Steve as he takes another kill.
Elements right now find the pick that they were looking for on the bottom side. Chachi too far out, pushed up with no real way of getting out there. His flash was not available. Eika and the rest of the Elements crew are going to look for the middle lane in response. And
oh,
the top lane
with the pants down.
Yeah, they have top lane LeBlanc. He's recalling. Alistar still on the way back to the lane. The problem is the minion wave is not there yet for the Elements as they push up now. Here is the rest of the team. The Unicorns have responded.
Starting to clear the waves out. Loulex threatening around the side. Meanwhile, though, this is all a ruse because Steve is not going to be pushing that bottom tower.
Oh, I was going to say 7 seconds until a home guard TP play, perhaps, but didn't look like they wanted to go for it. Elements are going to clear out the bottom side jungle, but look at Unicorns reacting mid. They just want to push for the turret, the inner.
They call those bluffs, and actually, they call one of their own, moving into the jungle of Elements, so that dragon does get picked up. Unicorns a little hesitant there to try and commit for the tower, even though they had the wave and they had enough damage to push it fast. They didn't want to get caught and risk getting bullet time to death.
Always better not to get caught.
Safe than sorry, I agree.
Yeah, you don't want to get caught in bullet time. It's not really a good end to the day there. But right now, looking at it, Unicorns still very close game between. Yeah, not a good start. That is not the breakfast that you want. Trying to fit that in the bowl is a little bit difficult. Unicorns right now, though. It's an even game. I mean, neither team is really looking stellar in this one when it looks to map movements. There's been openings here and there for Elements and Unicorns that they've taken advantage of, but it's not really been that active.
Well, that's characteristic of both of these teams. I mean, they may be in separate spaces of the table, but there has been that downward trend. Elements have snatched defeat from the jaws of victory a number of times now, and Unicorns very recently have done the same.
Yeah. Yeah, and that was a heartbreaking game yesterday.
Yeah. How much does it mess with your mental, though? We so rarely think about how much a loss like that in 24 hours can really mess with you trying to pick your feet back up. And if they lose against Elements, that is just a massive letdown.
We're in a situation right now where this is one of the not so bad things is when you can have a whole 24 hours before the next game. If that was in a best of series, that might be slightly more difficult to deal with because you have so little time that you have to just go, okay, let's just not even think about that game. We have to reset, go completely brand new on this next game. Because it's a new experience. Here comes the teleport.
Ooh. The resets, he catches MrRallez, gets the taunt on, but Loulex a little bit late. Hylissang's coming to try and help out here. This is a messy fight. Gilius pops his ultimate bullet time on MrRallez, but he gets exhausted down. So does Chachi as he tries to chase him out. There's a fight on 2 fronts right now. We can't catch all the action. As Chachi goes too deep, he gets some help to get the kickback from Loulex, but Eika comes around the side. Steve trying to come to the rescue as Fox is a bit low, but he's the one who ends up getting caught. Down in action. Steelback picks him up. Now Hylissang might be the next to fall. A little bit low, but he hangs in there with just a sliver of health. A double kill over to Steelback, looking for more as he's on the hunt for Eika. Bullet time, or rather, I should say making it rain. MrRallez slows them down, but they've lost their top in jungle, and they are bleeding out Elements. Unicorns now, what can they get off of this one?
Well, the Unicorns managed to hold that fight through the bullet time, through everything, and reset. It looked like Steve was dealing critical damage onto Fox. He had him below a quarter of his health, but Fox manages to back away, has Steelback in tow, and they put the damage down. The front line from the Unicorns zoned everybody of Elements back away, and it was only Eika and Steve that were really doing damage for most of that fight. Now Elements have reset. They want to try and stop this Baron. It's going down very quickly, though.
MrRallez trying to be the hero. not gonna make it happen. It's smarted away, but now there are some unicorns low in the pit. MrRallez gets one. MrRallez looks for more, but no, it goes to Eika. Looking for Chachi now. Eika too low. In comes LeBlanc, and down goes Eika. But that is a 1 for 3. Only 2 members with the Baron buff remaining.
Fox managed to get himself all the way back out as well with the distortion return. So this was the beginning of the previous fight. Chachi goes for MrRallez. He knows the target he wants. That is an incredibly late black shield coming out from Sprattel. I don't think it actually blocked the taunt. I would have to look at it again, but right now Unicorns, they've zoned away so much of the damage here. Steve was auto-attacking Fox here, but at this point Fox is like, okay, well I can get the distance and turn back around, and from here they've pincered Steve and Eika. Eika slips down out the back of the fight, but this is where a Sivir wants to fight you. With no damage coming towards the Sivir and the ability to just ricochet Boomerang Blade all the way through the fight.
And there was no more bullet time available for MrRallez either. That would have been a good time for him to have used it, but he started it at the fight. And Elements, they're lacking some coordination, just making the bad call, but then, you know, they're able to get 3 off of this one. So even so, Unicorns have 2 members with that Baron buff. Very long replay here as it all happens. MrRallez tries to make a crazy play, but he's still able to get some kills in the end.
Yeah, at this point, Elements is trying to get the best that they can, take the Baron buff off as many people as possible. Fox goes in. The damage came out from MrRallez, but it was Fox jumping back that keeps 2 members alive with that Baron buff. Yeah. As you can see in the top left of your screen, active on 2 out of 5.
Not much of a better power play, though.
The kills that went over towards the Elements is what has tipped this back away from them, plus some fun. I believe a tower got taken as well, perhaps. Mid-inner looks to have dropped while we were away.
Low already, but
it was.
Small price to pay. Taking a look at that play one more time. So it keeps actually growing in favor of Elements, too. So despite the Baron going over, Elements have been able to hold firm. We're approaching the 30-minute mark. This is, of course, a much longer game than we saw a little earlier today. And Elements are trying to make the plays to get themselves up and get a better position for their promotion tournament hopes. Half damage on this tower now. Unicorns are not giving up on it. There's a massive wave accumulating on the top side, but nobody's interested in it just yet. Unicorns are taking a lot of damage from the Make It Rain. There's that tower down.
Yeah, that is the mid-tower fell.
Thank you, observers.
Yep, thank you. I gave them a shout out. Apparently that paid me back to that. It's good. Thanks, guys.
Yeah, Unicorn's now going to take the prerogative here on this top side, but it is going to get answered. Not nearly enough wave clear just yet. And no ultimate for MrRallez, but again, Unicorns don't want to commit to that. You can see that karma damage. You talked about it being deceptively good burst, and there it was.
Yeah, of course, the delayed proc as well on the Q allows a couple more minions to enter the slow field and then get burst down. Yeah, none lead. Baron buff about to expire.
And they've lost 1,000 gold on it.
Yeah, it was a negative power play for the Unicorns, so not worth in the end of it. I wonder if they hadn't have re-engaged the fight and had it on a 3rd member, could they have got more done? It is an even game, though. I've said that quite a few times. It's,
well, not for lack of trying. Both teams have been making plays, but they've been answered back. It's a mirror match, really, in a lot of ways.
Yeah, they've been making plays the later this game's gone on, which, considering we said that there was going to be a lot of fighting from these team compositions, was actually the opposite.
One thing that hasn't been mirrored, though, is these dragon plays. Elements might have given a bit up for it on some occasions, but this is 3 for them. That's the move speed buff. And Unicorns haven't managed to accumulate 1.
Yeah, they haven't got 1 at all, but yesterday Elements played late game and got themselves 5 dragons. It still wasn't enough to win the game for them, unfortunately, against Splice. It was the decision-making and the choice of where to fight and when to fight that really let Elements down.
Well, this is also a different composition, too, and it's very easy to forget sometimes you're playing a poke-only comp when the enemy team keeps trying to fight you and just go, all right, let's go in. This time, they've got some tools. They've got Disengage. They've got Steve who's been able to push Chachi out, so they've got the split push capability.
And that has been key to this game, is Chachi having 4 deaths. Here comes a teleport. Not a home guard teleport, though. This is just going to be normal speed.
Oh, kick back into his team, and now Steve is going to be targeted down, but he's actually turned it around, and Gilius is the one who falls first. There's the bullet time, and Hylissang tanks up the front of it all. Steelback tanking the back of it, and they keep turning the fight back around. Loulex afraid to go back on in, and the traffic cone is put up. It's just a 1 for none so far as Unicorns claim their 4th kill of the game.
And what happened there was Sprattel flashed as the kick animation was starting from Loulex. It came right after the flash, and that's what forced him away from the team. And unfortunately didn't really end up in more than just the 1 kill. for Elements. They want to try for it again, though. Here's Chachi rolling on to Sprattel.
Oh, he's interrupted.
Oh,
He has to
hit the
pop
minions,
onto a
though.
minion. There we go. Taunt's already spent. Now Fox is here. They've got the wave clear. You can already see MrRallez coming back. He doesn't even need to since they backed away. Unicorns and Elements still afraid, especially Unicorns, afraid to make these critical mistakes. Let's see that play again. And not much game of it.
So watch the flash timing from Sprattel here. Right just as Loulex was queuing up the kick. And kicks him away. So
Gilius was just on the wrong side of the fight.
yeah, he was. Honestly, from here, this fight was fairly clean cut. Gragas already down. Unicorns not wanting to go aggressive, so have to back themselves away. And that kind of has been how this game has played out. Is Unicorns are like, well, do we have enough of a lead to take this? No, we don't actually have a lead, so let's not take it. So there's been a lot of umming and ahhing. The same happened with an earlier fight in the bottom jungle where it was like, do we TP in, do we not? Chachi hits TP, is like, let's try it. And then they back away. It's not decisive play from either team here.
Yeah, I mean, and that's the difference. If you have a team that is willing to make decisions based on, oh, this team just blew all of their summoners, they just blew all of their ultimates, we can then now make a move. However, Baron isn't available. The last time we saw a lot of action on the map, that was because of that. We'll have to see if that's the case again, as it's just a minute away.
And you look at the teams that the Unicorns will be likely to hit in the playoffs, especially when you get to the semi-finals as well. You look at the likes of H2K, Vitality, G2. Those are teams that are all incredibly decisive. It's when they do make a decision, regardless of what point in the game it is, it's all systems go. Everybody is just going on the same call, and we're not seeing that from the Unicorns. They're very late to actually commit to a decision.
Yeah, that is always troubling, and you can see it's reflected in the standings, them falling down to the same level as Fnatic as Baron respawns. Of course, they do own the tiebreaker over Fnatic, having the 2-0 record, the split. You've got to worry for these Unicorns. For a team in the playoffs, they are showing the opposite of progression.
Yeah, that is fair to say. They obviously had the weak break.
Here's a decision. A little bit close there. Oh, the Sivir ultimate gets popped, and now the barrel goes out. Everyone is popped around. MrRallez trying to get the picks off with the bullet time, but it ends a little bit too early, and it's Steelback who takes down Gilius. Traffic cone right in the middle. In comes Loulex trying to get the pick off himself. Steelback goes in too deep, and he's taken down by Steve. Chomped out. It's a 1-for-1 on this fight, but now Unicorns are hurrying and scurrying back to their base, and Steve says, no, you're not getting here. Chachi will have to sacrifice, and he will go down after flashing. Eika gets the credit. Elements come up with a 1-for-2 in that fight.
Elements got so much shielding at the beginning of the fight off the inspired mantra, the empowered E that came from Eika, that it was just too difficult for Steelback to do much more damage than he had done. He got a couple of people fairly low. They did manage to kill Gilius. Fox is behind Elements right now, cutting the wave and ensuring that they couldn't look to push potentially any further than just the inhibitor tower. Fox will get out of this with his life as well. But that was a rough team fight for the Unicorns. It looked good in the way that Steve was just focusing his attention off to the side, not really attacking down Steelback until very late, but they just couldn't get through the shielding. Didn't matter that Rallez bullet time didn't hit too much. This was the engage from the Unicorns. In they go. It's all from pretty much the side, every member, so it's not like they're coming around on two sides to pincer. Bullet time did work on Hylissang, but that was about it. From here, Gilius is down at the beginning of the fight. That was Steelback getting the first target, but watch what Steve does here. He turns on, gets the last hit on Hylissang, and turns his attention now onto Steelback, who has used a lot here to stay in the fight and output damage. Has to flash, has to heal, and Steve, again, is not taking enough damage from Steelback in this fight for the Unicorns to commit.
These fights have been the textbook definition of sustainment, but I mean, that's where Steve has really shined. If there is an MVP of this game so far, he's got to be it. He has had some middling performances this split, despite being a crowd favorite. But he's definitely showing up here and showing a very reliable Trundle choice against this Rammus and against the rest of the team.
Yeah, it has been reliable, and Chachi's Rammus has been unreliable on the same token. They've been trying to make plays, haven't really utilized the home guard all that much off TP plays. Elements have been able to ward a lot of their flanks, aside from the last fight, but this is Dragon number 4 for Elements.
However, Unicorns, they're making a call here around the Baron. Chachi's gonna go back to base, and he's got himself the home guard teleport. Actually stops, and now Unicorns,
They didn't
call
commit.
the bluff. They didn't commit at all. Once again, this is the critical problem they've had all game.
They were in the area for Baron. Yes, it becomes a 50-50 because elements do come to stop you. But I don't know, do you roll that dice right now and try and get yourself an objective like that? It's a very close game, so, you know, maybe you're looking at it, maybe we get one good team fight and we hold on. The problem is they've got an exposed inhibitor now. There's a 6-minute timer before they absolutely have to fight against the elements.
Wait,
so
they're pushing against them too.
Unicorns have to look for something. That Baron may have been the opening, but I still think it was a bit risky if they started it, unless they went right on the minute, or right on the second that Elements started Dragon. But even then, still a tough call.
Well, both teams have been playing less to win and more not to lose, but
yes,
we're approaching 38 minutes on this timer. Even if we have small skirmishes or fights that end 1 and 2, they're going to start to mean a lot more when you start taking into consideration 40 seconds, 50 seconds, death timers.
Oh yeah, we're up in 50 seconds easily now. Pyra, we're getting borderline 60-second death timers, depending on who dies. Fox, if he dies, is going to be down for a long time. Here comes Rammus.
Yeah, but they've looked for Loulex. He's right in the middle of them all, and Hylissang puts himself right there. Exhaust on MrRallez, has to move quick. Double knock up now, and the Unicorns are holding firm. MrRallez nearly goes down. He is shut down, courtesy of Steelback, the Critachet, and now chasing him down. Chachi looks for more, but he can't find it all as Fox goes in. Not enough damage, but they will be able to secure themselves a turret, and Elements are bleeding on all health bars.
Finally, a decision made by the Unicorns, and it was to fight. They got a good fight and interrupted the bullet time. They forced MrRallez to move. 42 seconds on a large chunk of any kind of wave clear and damage coming from Elements. This has got to be a back out to go and get the Baron, you would imagine, for the Unicorns. That, I would think, would be the objective they go for, although Fox is fairly low, Loulex is fairly low, so is Chachi. They're going to recall off it, so they don't convert it into anything but evening up the inhibitor tower score. Here was the TP coming in. No home guard once again, but it will get automatically interrupted because the minions around where he was TPing cancel on the bullet time, plus the exhaust allowed them to get right onto Rallez, and Rallez dies. So much damage comes from Steelback and from Fox here that was just the end of this fight as they started. So Unicorns actually do get a fair amount here. They got mid-inner plus mid-inhibitor tower. So they get a couple of objectives, but maybe it's enough for them to really start looking at wrapping this game up, but it's still fairly close.
You know, they've had so many fights that have ended with just minimal casualties. You have to think, if they had gotten 1 or maybe 2 more kills there, it might have been different. But they will decide to start this Baron now. Gilius has full awareness of it, and they turn on to him, looking for him, get the kickback. He throws the big cast, but it won't mean a thing. And he's taken out by Steelback, who has once again shined in the score department. 5-1-3 now on that Sivir. And the Unicorns with another man advantage will look to shove down, this time top lane.
Yeah, they don't want to commit to the Baron. They just want to commit to these objectives where that they know they can take the easy ones, then back away. That's the thing about having so many towers left on the map right now, is there's a lot of gold that's just kind of in a savings account that is like, I'll save it for when I'm level 18. You'll get access to it then, Pyra. And then you'll be able to take down towers. Obviously, that's not the optimal way, but it's just a nice perk for the Unicorns of Love right now. They're doing this Baron fairly slowly because Steelback, their damage has gone off the site. So did Fox. Fox got Eika, though.
He was able to pick him up off of that one. There was a big bullet time, and Steelback nearly eats it, but he is able to escape. Steve holding the line here, and all of a sudden, Unicorns realize maybe they've taken it a bit too far. Steve gets kicked back away. They'll turn on to Hylissang. He'll be the sacrificial cow for this one. Still big, but not enough. And it is a 1-for-1 since Eika had gone down early. Baron is stopped. Unicorns are backing. Do Elements now try for this one?
Well, that was the Unicorns damage dealers deciding to go aggressive. Elements are going to start it. They have a Trundle, and he's wailing away, as is MrRallez. It has just forced Loulex to stick around on incredibly low health. This is a one-way trip.
Yeah, but Fox is also there. See if he can get the pick off. This Baron, the 50-50s there. Fox is nearly going to get zeroed out. He will be. Shut down by MrRallez, but in comes Loulex. Not enough to steal the Baron, as Gilius secures on the smite. They played for it, and they lost. Down they go. 3 Unicorns just like that. 4 now. The you include Hylissang and Death Timers, they're just too damn high stress.
And Steelback and Fox may have been the instrumental part in these this Baron not going in the favor of Unicorns and instead going to Elements. There was no real communication from the team to back completely away from that fight. Now we've got 40 seconds left on Fox, just under 40 on Loulex. This is an inhibitor for sure. No minion wave really with the rest of Elements, so this is going to be the end for now. Karma's bringing the wave up. They have 2 tags. Zed's going to look to try and tag this up.
Oh, Steelback, a lot of damage from the bullets on it. Steve takes a bite out of him to finish him off. It's only Hilly now for several more seconds. That's got to be game. Elements, they have not won a match since week 5 here in Europe. Hylissang and the Unicorns have just given it over to end this one. 43 minutes on the clock, and the cow can do nothing but watch, trying to get the headbutt off, but he'll fall in the end. In comes Loulex, but it is way too late. Inhibitor's down, or Nexus is down, and Elements have done it. There we go. Elements managing to hold it together. And when they pulled the trigger, Unicorns took the bait.
Unicorns took the same kind of bait as happened yesterday. Unicorns got themselves a couple of picks. They get the turrets, they expose the inhibitors, they're playing the game out, looking like they're going to win, and they just don't make one decision at the end, and they try and do the Baron, they try and fight. And the split focus, the misplayed strategy from the Unicorns in the late game has cost them 2 games in a row now. And those could be 2 very important games as we look at how Fnatic and Origin may be on the heels of the Unicorns for the playoff hopes, for the seeding, and this might really be the end of a Cinderella story for the Unicorns of changing out junglers and still being able to maintain their position in the league. Maybe that's coming to the end. Certainly the guy on stage right now, Nif, has had a bit of a birthday present from his team.
We talked about it. He's got to be happy with that one. Elements, you know, I mean, they've got Fnatic and H2K up next. It's going to be so tough for them going forward into this struggle for the 7th place spot or securing seeding in the promotion tournament. But they've answered back Splice now, and that is worth every bit.
Yeah, it is. Again, only 2 games remain now after today's games of play for the Unicorns and Elements. And Elements desperately trying to make 7th. Unicorns just trying to hold the best place in seeding, try and get the better opponents, but I don't know about that now. I really don't know. Unicorns seem to be so good at playing like even and in the early and mid game being like, okay, well we'll farm up, Steelback will do a good job, he'll get a bunch of kills, but then they get late game. And I just don't know what it is, whether it's one voice that's lacking from the team as a shot caller, just seems to fall away.
Well, they've made so many shuffles in that jungle position, and it seems like they've never quite recovered.
Yeah.
And that's been the issue. I mean, I hate to say it, too. They definitely had a bigger impact with Rudy, but they decided to get rid of him and pull in Loulex. It hasn't paid off.
We saw different problems, though, for
That's
every
true.
single jungler that they've had.
Except
this
Yoko.
one,
Only 2 games.
only 2 games. Well,
yeah, 2 games.
I mean,
they could only have him for a bit.
Right, but they've had different problems. For them now, this is a kind of more difficult problem to fix. They got to fix late game decision making.
Yeah, well, Elements were able to fix it for the time being, and to hear a little bit more about that, we're going to send it stage side